A year ago, these agentic coding systems were decent, and now they're able to fully replace what sort of a mid-level junior engineer does.
AI has forever changed the game.
We've got the models now, and they're doing crazy amounts of work for us. At the moment, building Geode, solo founder, product, the big go-to-market, everything myself. Does ChatGPT talk about a business in the right way? Does Claude talk about a business in the right way? Does Gemini talk about it in the right way? Do you want to know that before the CEO hits you up in Slack? But it's definitely a bubble, right? It's definitely going to be a correction at some point. You got to use that momentum on the wave to build as good of a product as you can.
With AI, we can do anything, right?
Kiwis are always generalists, get stuff done. So we should be able to accelerate that with AI. People are talking about these billion-dollar solo unicorn companies.
Welcome to the Startup Theatre podcast. This podcast is produced by Empire Films.
Hey everyone, Troy here, and thank you for joining us back again on Startup Theatre podcast. Today we're interviewing one of my favourite humans in New Zealand in Toby Cox. I've known Toby for a long time. We first met, I want to say, 12 years ago, and I've worked with Toby over the years at Talent Army. I've respected him as a leader in the industry. He's one of the best 0 to 1 founders that I've ever seen, and he has this magnitude of experience. He's been number 3 or number 1 employee in a lot of successful startups, to then founding heaps of companies from a venture studio, to being CTO of hundreds of people across New Zealand remotely, to now being a solo entrepreneur for this new startup that we're going to learn about today. And so this is going to be a really fascinating conversation around solo entrepreneurship, leading people, 0 to 1, and especially AI, which is basically the buzz topic today, I imagine. And so strap in and enjoy. Today's guest is brought to you by Vanta. Whether you're starting or scaling your company's security program, demonstrating top-notch security practices and establishing trust is more important than ever. Vanta automates compliance for global frameworks like ISO 27001 and SOC 2, saving you time and money, helping you build customer trust. Over 8,000 global companies like Atlassian, Dovetail, Sharesies and Flossy all use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. I actually had dinner with the whole Vanta team, and I knew instantly that they would be the sponsor on the podcast. They just genuinely care about startups, and to make it go even one better, they've actually decided that my audience gets a special offer of $1,000 USD off from Vanta. All you have to do is go to vanta.com/startup theatre and enjoy your $1,000 USD off now. Toby, man, well, good to have you on the podcast. Thanks for coming down from Auckland, mate.
Yeah, good to be here. Normally I'm just sneaking my merch onto your podcast.
For those that don't actually know, this is your 5th time on the podcast.
Is it 5th? I only had 2, mate.
Yeah, because you snuck your photo on the Sunrise special. We shot 4 episodes.
Yeah, I was on 4. Gotcha.
Oh, no, was it just Cam's episode?
I don't know. Yeah, the Cam was the one that was notable. I was like, yeah, made it on.
Well, 2nd time or 5th time, mate. So, well, congratulations. You're the only person that's come back on for the 2nd time. So,
sweet.
Yeah, really keen to get in, man. But yeah, really excited to sort of chat to you about what's going on. Obviously, you've just founded Geode, which is super interesting, and people may have seen me rep that T-shirt on the Rod Drury podcast.
Yep.
And so, 3rd time on the podcast, and then with Geode. But yeah, talk me through that, because you were pretty comfortable, bro. You were CTO, venture studio, hundreds of engineers underneath you doing real cool, interesting stuff. And then you threw it all away and resigned to be a sole-time founder and, developer on your own, building Geode. So talk me through the madness there.
Just AI, man. It's it's a thing. It's happening. I think just kind of seeing the opportunity of what you can do and just wanting to be on the coalface with AI and actually be there building, take advantage of the opportunities in the market from AI. It's just it's a nuts time. I think there's a lot of folks my sort of experience who've done big teams and that side of things, and now they're seeing a bit of a new lease of life of I can go out there and build something from scratch, and it takes away a lot of the sort of grunt work of doing it.
Yeah.
So pretty it's an exciting time. So I made the move to jump out.
Yeah, man, it is. SaaS is dead. you know,
Hopefully
obviously. I mean, SaaS is definitely like, I was at an event last night with Blackbird, and they were talking about, it's getting pretty hard to write a check in SaaS these days. Like it has to be something super niche or something really interesting.
Yeah.
But they, like, I think 100% of the checks I've written now over the last sort of 6 months have been AI product companies. And then you start to look at, the revenue of like over the last 10 years, like DocuSign and some of these ones that were like crazy growth in terms of their revenue versus, every AI company at the moment now, their revenue is like billions of dollars. I think, what was it? ChatGPT's done $6 billion in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
In the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
But like, you got to wonder if it's like, is SaaS actually dead? Like, people are still using software. Like the business model of people paying for software on a monthly basis, is that going away? Really?
Yeah.
Like, I think like the venture market has changed. Like the venture market's just like VCs are really just looking at AI and they're like, this is our savior. This is like what it's going to return our funds. This is, this is the thing we need to jump on, because venture wants to see, massive outsized returns. And that's probably where you're going to see a lot of the huge returns. Is what's going to return their funds is like companies just doing insane amounts of leverage with AI.
Yeah.
But I hope SaaS isn't dead. I don't think it should
No,
be.
it's not. I'm just taking the piss. Like, I think it's just one of those things, right? It's, like, AI is just the new world at the moment, right? And it's just everyone's pretty love drunk on AI tech.
It must be a really hard time being a just building a kind of relatively boring technology business and not having AI in there. Like, you're not getting the love from VCs, you're not getting all the focus, and you're just being like, well, I'm actually probably solving a real problem and like driving some revenue, but don't have that sort of like wash of capital coming over you because you don't have AI or agents in your name.
Classic. So what, like, talk me through like what is Geode, and I guess secondly, tell me, if at this stage of what you've built now, how many, if you go back to like traditional sort of software engineering, how many engineers would you have needed to get to this stage now?
So Geode's basically Geode, I'm trying to help businesses, or B2B, primarily software businesses, kind of show up well in ChatGPT and Claude and all the AI surfaces. Because basically, like, buying decisions are moving into AI. People are going, like, rather than going and clicking some blue links and finding out stuff from your website or asking a sales rep about your product, people are going into ChatGPT and being like, what's the difference between this software and this software? And so all of that, AI needs to be like the surface for how your product and brand is presented to the world. So I'm just trying to help companies make sure that they present well in AI, so that they are throughout the buying decision for a B2B software buyer. You don't kind of fall out of that consideration, that your pricing is correct in there, your positioning, like your feature set, all that kind of thing. So I'm sort of 5 months into it. I've got 11 or 12 customers at the moment. And I think to get to, it's working and things are happening. It's like people are using it. And I think to get to where I've gotten to now as a solo founder with that level of customers, it would have been much more like 18 months or longer to get there. It's just wild how much it kind of does, well, not does for you, but like just a lot of the grunt work, a lot of the things that you traditionally, when you're building like a SaaS product, you're like, I have to go make a billing page so that I can take people's money, or I have to go like just make sure that email invites work. And then with AI, it's just like go do that, and you can just send them off at just so much delegation to agents that are very cheap and don't talk back.
And they just keep coming back and asking for more, right? Like they just never tire of doing these repetitive, mundane tasks. And grad software developers, are the opposite, unfortunately.
I think that's why you're seeing like a lot of folks like me have managed large teams, like get a new lease of life coming into the space. Like, because it's super rewarding managing like people and seeing them grow and like working with teams and putting them in the right direction. But it is also frustrating, and it's also like expensive, right? You have to have like a team of people to build this software product, and you have to deal with like helping them grow and their personalities, and they're like making sure they're delegated the right work, all this kind of thing. But with agents, you can be like, you're not paying for them when you're not using them, and you're able to just delegate whatever you want to them without them worrying about doing the work. And a lot of the time I find like I'll give something to an agent and it'll come back and it'll be like not what I wanted, and I realize that's because I didn't tell it the right thing to do. If you do that with a person, and you send someone off on a little path for like, 2 days, build this thing, and they come back and it's like, damn, it's not what I wanted, but that's because I didn't tell you what I wanted, right? Then you tell that and they're discouraged and they go off. But an agent is just like, nah, delete, try again.
V2 straight away, bang. Yeah.
It's just,
and there's like one throat to strangle, right? There's like the person telling the agent what to do, right? Like like
mostly comes back to you and like setting things up well for the agents. It's wild.
Why Martech again, man? Like you've obviously got this passion for this sort of space that that you're in now.
Yeah.
Like, is it something that you love working in that space, or you just know it well, or?
Yeah, I just find it interesting. Like building products is awesome. Like, I'm an engineer by background. I enjoy building the products, but they're nothing without taking them to market. And I think like marketing is kind of a little bit of it's a little bit of an amorphous kind of scary, like how does it work kind of place, especially for a lot of technical people. But there's actually a lot of sort of systems you can put in place, and there's it's just kind of grounded in understanding what customers are looking for, talking to them in the right place and right language, and then kind of building up this engine that brings customers into you. I personally just find it kind of interesting. It's just like another kind of engine you can build, and there's money at the end of the engine, which is good, which is always useful for actually making a business. So I've enjoyed working in kind of different martech spaces and being part of different waves of kind of distribution as well, which I think is like, it's when like really interesting things happen. Like we've got this AI distribution wave now, and before, like when I was coming out of uni, it was the mobile distribution wave, and like that was like just kind of wild thing to be a part of as well. So
because for folks that don't know you, I mean, you were employee number 1, was it? At Carnival.io, which is like, I mean, really interesting story about what you guys did at Carnival back in the day. And so you seem to be a bit of an early adopter of like mobile first and now AI first, and like I'd be curious to know, like, talk me through a little bit about the early days of Carnival, and then how they sort of relate to the early days of AI. Would be interested in as well. So the early days, I was coming out of uni, and a couple of friends from uni started this company called Carnival, basically building iPhone apps for companies. I would build a few apps before the App Store launched, and then kind of as the App Store was launching, companies were saying that like this was a new way to interact with customers, a new way to distribute services. Like they needed to be on this wave. So we three guys started building apps from kind of kitchen table, built the Grab a Seat app, NZ Herald, and then started selling to like American companies. Sold to DreamWorks, Kraft Foods, Time Warner, like some pretty massive companies. We were just like three guys. Didn't they yell out Carnival at like an Apple conference or something?
I think we've had a shout out at Carnival for one of the apps, and like we had DreamWorks, like some of the apps got a lot of press. We actually got an invite to we did the Puss in Boots movie app, which was called Pose with Puss, which is a weird name, but built this app where you could like take a photo and pose with Puss in Boots, and build it, launched for DreamWorks, and they're like, oh, great work, guys. Like, do you want tickets to the premiere in Hollywood? And we're like, hell yeah, this is amazing. We're like mid-20s guys. We're like, we get to go to Hollywood to a premiere. So like, they're like, you have to pay for your own flights and stuff. It's just the tickets. And like, yeah. So we flew over, stayed in like all in a single hotel room, and like the night before was the Rugby World Cup, and so we went down Santa Monica and like watched the World Cup, and got quite drunk, and like woke up in the morning and realized like morning premiere, like we're gonna miss the premiere, throwing our suits on and like jump in the rental car, and like I was driving, and I had to park at the like quite far from the red carpet, and like I dropped the guys off the red carpet, and I parked far away, and they're like running down to get to the cinema, and there's like red carpets there's like Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. I'm like sweating and running to the end. Got to the end, and like we like at the end of the red carpet there's like two theaters you can go into. Didn't really know that's how premieres worked, but like everyone went into like one theater, and then like us and about 400 children went into the other theater, and so we're just like in there just hungover and sitting in
sweaty guys.
Like, yeah, Hollywood, this is great. But some cool experiences like that. So we did that for a while, and then kind of we were running an agency building these products, and sort of saw the opening for to build a platform, because a lot of our apps we were building, they needed to talk to their customers through the app.
Yeah.
So we started building like a messaging platform where you could send text notifications, rich notifications, all this kind of thing through the app. And so started selling it into these companies and turned that into a product called the Carnival platform. Raised some capital from a bunch of VCs in the States, like Google Ventures and a whole bunch of other folks. And did that for ran that for 4 or 5 years, I think. And eventually it was acquired, and it's kind of continued on. It was sailed through after that, and then Campaign Monitor, and I think they've still got an office down here in Wellington.
There's not many people left down there.
No, the same people aren't there, but it's kind of cool that like that company has like rolled on and evolved through time. But yeah.
And do you how close is the AI revolution to what the mobile revolution was? Is there parallels that you can take from your learnings back in the day, or?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just the energy, right? Like, and kind of consumer adoption. Like, it was always wild. Like, you go from before like mobile phones, and no one had like a computer in their pocket, and no one was like, it just opened up a new way for people to sort of interact with the world. I think you're seeing that to a degree now with AI. Like, I always find it wild when you're like sitting on the bus and you just see someone like on ChatGPT talking to it, or like the people you see it being used everywhere, and like literally everyone is using it in some regard. So you're just kind of seeing like a new way to talk to customers opening up, which I think like if you're running a business, you've got to kind of be aware of that, and you've got to be dealing with it in some way.
Yeah, interesting, man. And so talk me through like how have you approached to building Geode? Like, talk me through, like, after coming out, because it's interesting you say that a lot of CTOs or led teams are now loving AI. I'm like, I would say half the CTOs I approach now in recruitment and say, "Oh, I've got this CTO role on it." Like, no, I kind of want to go the other way now and build some shit with AI.
Yeah.
And then half are like, "Oh, I'm too scared to sort of go back to engineering." But it's kind of democratized now. Like, anyone outside of technology is building stuff, but the people that have the brains and like know software engineering are coming back and really excited by it again. And so yeah, like, talk me through like how's your approach been to building out Geode?
Yeah, so I'm at the moment building Geode, like solo founder, doing the product, the go to market, everything myself. I'm quite keen to keep it that way for as long as possible, just because like I don't know how this stuff evolves. Like, I want to be in a place where I can like most rapidly latch on to however things evolve. Like a year ago, these agentic coding systems like were decent, but they weren't like amazing. And now, like, we're a year later, and they're like able to fully replace like what sort of a mid-level junior engineer does. You can see the same kind of thing and go to market. So I kind of want to be in a place where I'm like moving forward as a company, like building software for customers, but not bedding down in like traditional like structure of like, I've got to go hire an engineer, I've got to go hire a go-to-market person, because the capability for agents are just getting like better and better month on month. Yeah. So I'm really trying to keep super lean, super tight, like as much of it myself, outsourcing as much of it as possible to AI, and just being ready to be adaptive to how things change in the market. I think there's an opportunity there, right? Like, people are talking about these like billion-dollar solo unicorn kind of companies. Be keen to get there if possible, but I think at least you can build like high leverage companies which have very minimal headcount, and you can do a lot with AI. And that just simplifies a lot, especially in the early days. Like, so much of the early days of building a technology business or startup is just being able to rapidly iterate and talk to a customer and then ship something, and then just change your mind like instantly and change how the product works. I think as soon as like I introduce one other person, it becomes like, okay, learn something from a customer, go talk to the engineer, go implement that, come back. Even if the engineer is using AI, like, it's still going to be a feedback loop there. Like, even having like a co-founder is going to be like, in some ways, like a bit of a communication overhead. So I'm just trying to be as maximally adaptive as possible to kind of how things are adapting.
If someone was looking at your org structure and agents were a part of your org structure now, like, how many people would you have in the team?
I think it's just me and Claude Code. I've got like 3 Claude Codes that I consistently run. Any more than that stresses me out, to be honest. So
you haven't got anyone doing like CI/CD and software engine over here, and then someone doing
I have like
go-to-market?
A little CI agent, and I've got like 3 coding agents. I haven't. The go-to-market at this stage is very kind of relationship driven. It's very like focused on like me putting out their content there. It's not like a systematized machine. It's like very much having real conversations with people. I think if I was like AIing that at this stage, it would be a mistake, because that's where I get all the insights. That's where I get like all the interesting things from it. I think AI is really good when you have a known thing you need to do, and you can instruct an AI to do it really well, and you know what good looks like at the end of that. But I'm the go-to-market part, like the talking to customers and figuring out where the problems are and how to position your business. That's where like all the creativity is, and it's where all of the learning is going to come from. So I'm not going to outsource that to an agent yet, but I will over time as some parts we start to get more sort of routine for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like the amount of lines of code that you can write now, right? It's just like the product that's getting out the door is just insane. And especially like early stage startups where you're trying to find who your true customer base is, right? And trying to like a lot of the time your early base customers that you sell to probably aren't your customers, that you churn them off after a year or two, right? And so you have to change so fast, and you can just change your product features like that. Like, is it just like, have you wrapped your head around how much easier it is now to get product out the door?
Yeah, it's just a relief, to be honest, right? Like, I think previously in software, there was a whole bunch of constraints you had. Like, you had to do certain things because of the constraints of software being like taking time to build, being expensive to build. Like, we had to do things like, you know, do wireframes and like show someone a wireframe and like figure out if it worked, right? But like, now why do you build a wireframe when you can just build like the product, or at least the product with like mocked up data or something? There's no reason to be doing most of those processes. So yeah, it kind of changes how you're able to work with things, like how quickly you can just build a feature, put it out to a customer and like see if it's going to work and see if it works with the real software, which is always better than having just a conversation or just like asking someone what they would do, but actually like putting something in front of someone, and you still have to watch it like break and it like catastrophically goes wrong, but you can at least get there a lot faster. And then I think a lot of the art for me personally when building product now is like paring things back, and like it feels a lot more like, I don't know, like carving, like you've got a big block of mud or stone and you're kind of, now you're slicing off bits and reducing it down to like
the artistic process or whatever.
Yeah, or like fully restructuring things, because like you realize, like previously, like you build something out and you go build this big feature, and then you realize like the data model's not quite right, so it makes like the UX weird, and it's going to make this integration more difficult over here when we get to that point. And previously that would just be like, oh no, we've fucked this up. And now it's like, oh sweet, agent, go do that, and it chugs away for half an hour or so and does your refactor, and you're like, cool, we're good here, back on track.
That's like, I think there's like so many people that come to me and they're like, I'm using Lovable to build this app, and I've built out this whole product, and then I realized that I didn't do anything right at the start and have to go back and redo it all over again and the likes. Is it like, after going on this journey with like Geode and using AI, if you were to do it again tomorrow now, like how much faster do you think you would be able to go?
I think like delivering the product, the cadence of getting it out there, like not much faster. Like it's going as fast as I need it to. I think I would have just talked to more customers. I talked to a decent amount of customers. I had like good conversations with people, and I was really trying to lean into that. And I think the thing you always realize is you probably should have talked to 10 times more customers, or you should have, you always go slightly down the wrong tracks, and maybe talking to more people more earlier would have sent me down the right tracks more, but it's always a squiggly line, right? So probably just would have invested more time out there at that point.
What is, like, I'm interested in your thoughts. Like, so many people now are looking at like LLMs about like, how do I get my business, onto LLMs? Is there simple tricks that aren't like the secret sauce of your product that people should think about?
You mean from like a product perspective or like a team perspective?
Just like from like Talent Army, right? Like if someone's going to ChatGPT and saying who's the best recruitment company in New Zealand.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
How would I get it to start talking about Talent Army?
Yeah. So like, that's kind of what people are talking about in terms of the GEO space or AEO or AI search optimization, or maybe at some point we'll align on a single acronym for this. But I guess the way I think about how those answer engines kind of work is they're a model, right? You got the ChatGPT model. It knows a whole bunch of stuff about the world as of, say, 18 months ago. It's been trained on that point, and it has stale knowledge from that point on. What it has to do when it wants to tell you anything that's current or like up to date, it doesn't want to get something wrong that you're asking it about a business. So it goes and does a web search off the back of that. And so that web search is trying to find results for various kind of search terms. So if you're saying like, what's the best software for recruiters for handling candidates, it's going to know that you're a recruiter in New Zealand, and it's going to know that you typically work with startups. So it might do like 5 searches and go, recruiting software New Zealand, recruiting software startups, and like pull together all these results. So there's sort of two steps to it. There's like a pure search perspective, and then a lot of that's traditional SEO. That's why I think a lot of people are saying that, it's just SEO. And it's not just SEO, but that is like a big component of it, is like making sure that when the model goes out to the web, it's finding you and finding your information. But then you've got like another level on top of that where it's about the LLM synthesizing that information and understanding how you're positioned as a business, understanding like which bits of your content are relevant to the question that's being answered. So you kind of got to think about it in two steps. It's like, I need to have good SEO. I need to like make sure my website is discoverable on the internet, and like the searches that LLMs do, it's going to return the right content. But then you need to think about how LLMs reason and about how you want to show up there, and like that you want to make sure that your content's not different in different places on the web, right? You want to make sure that it doesn't say, if you're like compliant with SOC 2, you want to make sure that everywhere on the internet says that you're compliant with SOC 2. It's not, the LLM's not going to contradict itself and give the user the wrong information. So yeah, it's kind of like multiple facets to it, but like a lot of foundational SEO stuff, like good SEO, and then like really thinking about how you structure your content so it answers the questions your customers are asking.
Yeah, interesting, man. It's insane how fast like the AI movement's going. I was at an event last night, as I said, and one of the quotes that I heard was someone from the health industry said that they were talking to Ministry of Health, and the head of AI at Health said that Heidi, which is the scribing tool that they use, AI tool now, has saved them 40% in their jobs now in emergency departments across the country, and that means they can see 40% more customers. It's insane, like how much it's changing the workforce now. And I think people are looking at it as holy fuck, it's getting rid of all these jobs. At the moment, I'm just seeing it creating more jobs, and it's definitely killing off a sort of a type of person and type of like skill set and the likes. But yeah, I'm curious. Like, are you seeing it like the mobile area just creating more jobs again, or are you seeing it like we're evolving and changing jobs, or like, what's your take on that?
I think it'll just be different for different sort of industries, right? Like there's a lot of the world where you're not going to replace like a waiter with ChatGPT. Like there's like most jobs you can't actually replace. You can make them more efficient, but they're not going to get replaced. And then you've got like the ironic thing of like, software engineering, like the software engineers who created like these models and everything. Probably the most obvious job to kind of get replaced for the most part. It's the most effectively replaced by LLMs because it's, writing a lot of text and outputting it, and it's very easily verifiable. So I think that there's going to be actually big impact there for people who don't get on board with the technology. It just changes their job completely in terms of what you're doing. But yeah, it's hard to, I think there will be some like job losses and stuff like more widespread. But you gotta look at the world, like the world doesn't like automatically optimize like to the nth degree for everything. Like there's a lot of big companies at the moment who could be far more efficient if they wanted to in various ways, just by like traditional automation. Like because there's AI, they're not going to suddenly go, oh yeah, let's just optimize. There's there's a lot of jobs we could probably optimize with some non-AI techniques if we wanted to. So I think there's a long like where we're in tech and we're seeing stuff like go crazy, and like we're seeing like the very front of it, but there's a big long tail of like the rest of the world takes a while to catch up.
Yeah, man. Hey, I want to go back to Paloma days, or even Dovetail days and the OG days, man. So you were CTO of Dovetail, which rebranded to Paloma. I think there was a fight between you and an Australian company for the name.
Yeah, there was another Dovetail.
And you guys, Paloma is like Spanish for dove or something?
Yeah, or Spanish for pigeon, we did realise as well. So yeah, Spanish pigeon.
Classic. And so for like, it's always surprises me because I like worked with you guys for a long time. Like Paloma was like one of my favourite clients to work with, from like early days working with you to then, you guys were like hundreds of people. What was the like when
120 or so.
Yeah, like across New Zealand, and top quality people like across the business, like really high quality people. But I'm always surprised when I talk, people will go, "Oh, Paloma, what? Like, who are Paloma?" I'm like, "How the hell do you not know about these guys?" So for folks that don't know, like, what was Paloma and what did you do there?
Yeah, so I started with Paloma. A couple of like friends from university started Paloma, then called Dovetail. Basically, the idea was to build a venture studio, and kind of like a venture studio being a company that creates other companies. And the kind of model we used to run it was kind of a product agency on one side, so helping companies build products, helping them like build mobile apps, this kind of thing, and using like the cash flow from that, like supporting the business to help create new startups. So we wanted to be kind of like the start of successful New Zealand tech companies. And we started that. We were actually, none of us were in New Zealand. I was living in Thailand at the time. Nick was living in Copenhagen, and Ash was living in Amsterdam. And so like first couple of years we started working with a few different clients, working with Kiwi Bank. Eventually got Afterpay as one of our early clients as we sort of all came back to New Zealand.
How did you get Afterpay?
I was through just a friend who kind of knew that we knew how to build product, and they were just going pretty fast. They're much smaller at that stage, but going pretty fast. So kind of brought us in. I think they were looking for like a partner to work with who had that startup mindset as well. Yeah, that was something that was pretty key for us. Was even though we were doing sort of product development work, agency work, it's like having the right kind of people who are like super startup minded, who ship stuff really rapidly, get things out into the world really quickly and like really scrappily, so that we could do that for companies like Afterpay or like Kiwi Bank, that kind of thing, but then also do that for our day one ventures. Early days Afterpay, we were just all spread out over the world building like this app laptops from random locations, and just went kind of crazy. Like the Afterpay story, it's massive. We built their shop directory and it became like the number 2 referrer of traffic after Google in Australia. And like, so we're all just like this team of like 6 people on this Afterpay thing, just holding it all together. It was going quite nuts. And then on the side as well, we were building these ventures. So we kind of started working with some early companies like Marmalade, which is like an invoice factoring platform in Australia. That was one of our early ones. And Run, which is like Tim Copeland's startup. Those were kind of a couple of the early ones. And eventually we built a portfolio of about 13 or so ventures. We were doing a couple a year, and some have been going pretty well. Still waiting for the big exits. And then we built like a great team. Like the team's like still going hard, but it's like a good culture in terms of like startup scrappy people who kind of enjoy the craft and enjoy working across different things, and kind of like jump in on either side across like agency work or in on a client and help them, or on a venture, help them understand a problem and build a product from it. So it was a good ride, but like
we were talking about you the other day in the office actually, because someone was complaining about a hiring manager that needed to interview someone 19 times to figure out if they were any good. And I think Dom said, I miss the Toby days where Toby could like within half an hour know if someone was going to be great or not.
Better for worse.
But you picked some really good people, man. Is there an art to that? Is there something that you honed, or?
I think it was just like a little bit of the environment that we were in. Like we were in a place where we had like a really like good group of people in terms of they were like good culture, good communication, like technically strong. And so if you can find someone who you think's going to gel with that environment, they're going to like kind of grow pretty rapidly in that environment. I think it's like when you find someone who's like obviously kind of sign of antagonistic or very stuck in their ways, or isn't going to you can kind of tell when someone's going to flourish in that kind of environment and go in the right direction. So I think, it was like, that was, a lot of it was like sort of the culture fit and kind of getting people who would fit in well and like I thought had like growth opportunity, and not so much on the kind of like technical interviews and all that kind of thing. I think I don't really like agree with like in-depth technical interviews, and I like personally I failed enough of them to not want to do them too much. I failed one with Stripe in its early days. That was good times.
When I first arrived in Wellington, I failed 3 interviews, like recruitment, like testing interviews and stuff, and they all told me, you'll never end up being a good recruiter. And I was like, all right.
I failed this Stripe one. They flew me to San Francisco and like had great like chats with all the team, and like I think like it was good experience, and like heaps of the stuff went really well, but like there was just one technical interview which didn't like quite gel, and like kind of put me off doing that. It was also the fact that I was waiting for my interview with Patrick Collison, the one of the main brothers, and he was taking ages, and I was waiting in the kitchen, and they had like a personal chef in the kitchen, and he was like an ex-US football like soccer player, and he's like just such a good dude. I was yarning to him, and it was Friday, end of the week. He's like, "You want a margarita, bro?" And I'm like, "No, man, I'm waiting for my interview with the CEO. I'm just gonna like chill." And like I waited for another hour. I was like, maybe I'll just have a little margarita.
That was the test though, bro.
I failed the test, and then like Patrick Collison came out, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he's like obviously in a rush. He's like, "I need to write this email. Can you write this email?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll write email." So like buzzed off a pretty strong margarita, writing Patrick Collison's everyone's emails and like don't get the job out.
Oh, classic. Well, who knows, man? Who knows where you'll be now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Paloma, though, you guys work with some like crazy companies around the world, like shipped crazy like levels of like products and like real scale. And so I'm curious to know, like, there's a lot of companies in New Zealand now that are like consulting companies trying to be a product companies with a sort of consulting nuance. And so, what is it about products and people that you've been able to like oscillate between sort of agency land and product land, and get things out? Is there a secret sauce in what you guys were able to do there?
I think just like staying super scrappy and shipping stuff quickly, but also I think that like working. Sometimes in startups or in product, there's like a little bit of a purist kind of nature, like, services is bad, like you don't want to be doing services work. But at the end of the day, like your early stages especially, like you're trying to do a service for your customer, right? Like you might notice there's like software as a service, is like it's actually in the name. Like we're trying to do what we like do as much for the customer as possible. So you kind of like in there doing a lot of the same things, right? You're like diving deeply into their business, trying to understand their problems, trying to figure things out. It shouldn't just be like good like working with a client, good sort of consultancy stuff. It's not just like, yeah, give us the feature, we'll just like do that, we'll do that. It's like challenging them on it and like helping them do things in different ways. So I think there's like there's actually a lot of overlap there, right? And I think like you're seeing a lot of companies these days do like almost like a blend of services as well, right? They're doing like services layered on top, like software companies, but they're layering services on top and trying to kind of like just really help their customers succeed and like generating a bit more revenue that way too. And like, to be honest, I think it's part of running, like from running an agency kind of perspective or like running a consultancy, it's like a different type of business. Like you have to be pretty like shrewd about how you operate it. You have to be watched like you don't have like a stack of venture capital you got dumped in your bank account. You got a 2-year countdown to figure it out. You've just got like payroll monthly and like make money monthly. Every month, yeah, and you've got to like be pretty on top of your costs and like you go to market and you're bringing customers in. So like it kind of trains you to be like pretty operationally solid, I think, which is probably something that a lot of startups in the current environment have like had to learn pretty fast. But back in the zero interest rate days, it was good times. The money was
free
easy.
Money, man.
Yeah.
It's coming back. I feel like this year's going to be a good year.
No,
I don't know about the free money just yet. Hey, look, obviously we talked about you being like a good manager that I've worked with, knowing how to hire people. You led teams of 100 plus people, and now you've gone to a solo entrepreneur. What are some of the changes like for people out there that are thinking about doing that? Like, talk me through, is there things that you need to think about to do something like that? And is there like, how do you keep yourself engaged? Do you have networks of mentors or people that you chat with? Yeah,
gotcha. I think you got to be the right type of person with the right skills, right? Like I don't think me choosing not having a co-founder at this stage, it's not I don't think like having co-founders is bad. I think like if you're the type of person who's super strong in one aspect and you can't, like you have no energy for the other aspect, like if you're the two main aspects being kind of like product and go to market, like you do need to have, if you're gonna be solo, you need to kind of enjoy doing both. And you're gonna, personally, I'm always going to like find comfort in product. I'm always going to like tend over there, but I also like I'm comfortable being in go to market and I throw myself into that as much as possible. But if you're the kind of person who's just never going to be able to do that, like just definitely like match yourself up with a co-founder that's going to work pretty well there. But also just, I think you've got to be a generalist. You've got to like understand what like good looks like across a whole bunch of different functions. I think that's always been a thing to be aware of, like pre-AI when you're hiring, like successful kind of leaders or execs always kind of know what good looks like in a function, or they try to like, they figure that out through like advisors for VC, like they're like always trying to find they know what success looks like in that function. So it's the same with AI, like you need to know what like a high quality, like robust product looks like, or like the fundamentals of like having to go to market. Like if you're asking AI, can you like make my marketing plan or do that? It'll give you like a good start, but it's not going to be anything super creative or super like tailored to your customer. So yeah, I think like you've just got to be a generalist, and you got to be like kind of like comfortable with different or everything that's required in running a startup still.
It's interesting. Like I was talking to a lawyer friend of mine about AI, and he was like, whenever you use AI products in law, he's like, it'll give you something that is legally correct.
Yeah.
but he was like, would I sign my name to it? Hell no, you know. And so like you really have to like give it so much information to be able to figure out the nuance of what it is and the likes. And so same thing with like all these different business units that I'm seeing set up now. Like I'm seeing some solo founders, you know, saying, yeah, I'm doing everything by myself. And I'm like, you probably need some help over here, bro, because you know nothing about that space.
Yeah.
And so, but hopefully it gives you the time to learn a little bit about that space as well. So
yeah. I mean, I'm not completely doing it myself, right? Like I have an investment from Paloma. I still use some of the kind of the work with some of the team there. Like I have some design and brand. Like I can align some pixels and like do a little bit of design, but I'm not like a brand designer. So like having that kind of like truly like focused skill, which like some like really experts bring to the table. Things like legal, accounting.
Who did the logo?
It's Paloma. So,
nice. I like the logo. Yeah, it's cool, man. And so you have got this product to market now with no raise, and is it like, have you specifically chosen to do this self-funded?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, like I've some backing from Paloma, but it's not like a venture style raise. Like there's no kind of, I'm not jumping onto the venture kind of hamster wheel, whatever I call it. But I think like it's intentional from my perspective, because I think I mentioned before, I just want to be super adaptive to whatever is changing in market. And like if I take on capital, it's going to mean I go, okay, well, what am I going to spend capital on? It's going to be people, and like what are those people going to be doing? Our agent's going to be doing their job in 6 months, that kind of thing. So I want to be super adaptive to like how this whole thing is playing out. I want to be kind of the shape of business I want to target. I want to be quite niche, and I want to be super focused, and that like from a perspective of like just serving one customer really well. Like I want to serve B2B customers who are sitting on the Webflow platform for their websites, and I want to do that so I can provide like a really good product experience and like something really compelling. But if I take on venture capital, I'll probably have to like start looking at the TAM and like start expanding, and I'm like, maybe I'll do that down the line, but I don't want that to be like a necessary requirement of what I'm doing right now. I want to reduce the number of constraints on me from that perspective as well. And I just enjoy like building and doing multiple things. I'm a generalist, and like kind of enjoying just being like focusing on like building and the craft of it, and maybe some form of low level PTSD from having managed a lot of people in the past. I love all the people I managed, but like it's also like it's a lot sometimes.
That's interesting, man. We'll have to edit that part out where you talk about raising money to not hire people, because obviously recruitment. So you mentioned Webflow there. Like, so who is the like target customer for Geode? Like, who's the ideal customer?
Yeah, I kind of saw the problem when I was at Paloma, because we had a portfolio of software business, technology businesses, and some of those are in kind of growth mode, starting to see leads coming through from ChatGPT, and that's obviously like any business is wanting to see leads come through and like see where their customers are coming from. And so I kind of jumped on this problem and trying to solve it for them. But like the core kind of thing I'm trying to solve for my customers is making sure that when potential customers asking about your product in ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude, that they're getting given the right information, like that they find out about your like potential solutions to the problem you solve in the early days, like when they're like they have a problem, or they find out like how your features could solve that problem, down to like comparing your product against other competitors. Like if someone's in there and they've maybe met you at a conference, or they like seen your brand, and then they go later and they're like, oh, so like what is, Troysoft, how does that compare to like X competitor? You want to show up well in that comparison, and like it wants to come through that like, oh, your Troysoft's better for like small to medium businesses, right? So you want like buyers are just moving a lot of their decision making to these platforms now, so you've got to show up really well on these platforms with the right information, right positioning. Otherwise, you're kind of dropping out of that funnel. So I help my customers kind of understand the questions that the customers are asking in these platforms, kind of see a little bit of volume of what they're searching for and what those questions might be, and then I align the content on your website and how you position yourself to those questions, and update it as you go along, so that if things change, as they do, like the business changes over time, that all of the content on that gets updated, and the LLMs are using the right content and reflecting your business well back for when customers are in that journey.
It's super interesting, because like, who would have thought that LLMs are going to be the greatest new marketing tool that we've got, going forward in the future, like a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, well, I think every technology opens up like a new distribution channel as well, is the theory. And so this is our new distribution channel, and like, but yeah, people are just outsourcing their thinking to to ChatGPT now, right? And they're outsourcing their buying to that as well. You can see it on the kind of B2C side where, people are like, ChatGPT's released that Shopify integration. So you're looking for your like best running shoes for a marathon, and like it'll bring up some Nikes and you can buy them in there in ChatGPT. Same thing's happening on like a B2B side as well, right? People are buying like big software contracts based on ChatGPT. I did it at Paloma as I was rolling out. Like I had like a gnarly reporting structure, like reporting software that I built over the years in there, and I was leaving and there's no one to maintain that. So I went through the whole buying process for an off-the-shelf solution for that in ChatGPT. That company ended up getting, like a six-figure kind of contract with us because of me finding them in ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, changing the game, hey. Talk me through like the AI tooling though, man. Do you have like a multitude of tools? Obviously Claude, you said.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like a heavy AI user, but then I'm in all these like WhatsApps and like different groups, and there's people just going like absolutely ham on running like 20 agents, and they got all these different like harnesses wrapped around them and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, that's awesome, mate. Can you just let me know when like all that stuff's working real good so I can just do some work with it, because I just need to do work. I just need to like ship really fast. So I'm pretty much just like Claude code across the board, just like using that, putting the right guardrails in place. I think that like for me that's like enough. I'm really like focusing on like the product aspect of it and shipping really fast. And I think it was also, there's like a thing of like the number of tokens you burn, the number of like agents you have running in parallel doesn't like necessarily equate to like product value and like value for a customer. It's like it's what you create with it. It's how you like feedback I can't give the agents enough context to go off and do something for a day and burn like insane amounts of tokens. I like need to like correct the direction they've gone in or like incorporate some customer feedback into it. So I'm like, those other people like who are running like that many agents in parallel, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but it sounds good, man. It's not what I'm doing. It's like I'm working with customers to try and like solve a problem here.
It's crazy, man. What is it like? Every 6 months it used to be like there's a new JavaScript library out, right, that we used to have to find people for. I feel like now it's every 6 minutes there's a new AI tool that people are like jumping on the back of.
And it's like exhausting from a perspective of keeping up. Like people are like, oh, I've heard of this thing, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm sorry, I must be weeks behind. I'm like, I'm out of the loop. I'm pretty AI pilled, but I'm like, sorry, I don't notice that latest thing. But I think it's also exhausting. You got that level of exhaustion of like keeping up with how things are progressing, and then you've got like the level of exhaustion of like dealing with what your agents and what your like the AI is putting out. Like that's tiring. It's like you'd expect like if we've got all these AIs like doing all of our jobs, it's gonna be more chill and we can just relax. But like I don't find that. I find it's like I've got 3 different Claudes giving me like pull requests for these features, and I've got like like an outreach sequence over here that I have to like make sure is working. I've got all this stuff to be checking. It's actually like mentally quite taxing staying on top of everything that's going on. And
so every time I go into like a friend's house now that's sort of like building AI startup, they got like 3 machines running, like, and it seems like full on, And
some people get like token guilt from like not having an agent spinning up in the background. It's like, I've got to go like prompt the agent to be doing something. I'm wasting time, I've heard people like leaving parties because they have to go back home to like talk to their agents. It's like, it's wild.
Man, imagine the psychologists now that are like cashing in on this. You got token guilt. Crazy, man. Like, how do you think founders are going to start restructuring like how they run their businesses now? Like, it's a really interesting topic about how we build businesses in the future with AI.
Yeah. I think it's like a challenge for engineering teams, like existing larger engineering teams. And to be honest, I don't know how you solve that challenge. Like, it's like. I've worked with big engineering teams in the past. I'm like, I feel sorry for you having to manage that problem though, but I don't know the solution. I kind of suspect it's like people have to just start using these tools, or they're just not going to be able to work in those teams. Like it's a cultural shift, like using these tools. So if people aren't on board with the culture, they're going to have to go find a company with a culture that is fine with not embracing them. And then I think there's a lot of stuff downstream of that. You just need to there's a lot of software that needs to change downstream so that you can handle releasing things like so often, so much code, and there's good observability and there's good crash monitoring, that kind of thing. So there's that sort of engineering team structure side of things, but and then there's also just like how do you structure a company as well, right? Like what's the right org structure when you can do so much with a small team. I don't know how larger teams are going to do it. Like, I think from my perspective, thinking ahead is like, at some point maybe I will want to like bring in a team and make it not just me, because it's like I'm a point of failure and like I don't want to be the whole thing the whole time. But I can kind of imagine bringing in like individual people to run certain parts of the business, like have one super strong engineer who's running like a lot of agents, and have one salesperson, one marketing person, so everyone's got like a single threaded responsibility, and it's like you and your agents, and like maybe then if like that's about as far ahead as I can kind of imagine.
I was wrapping my head around it walking home last night and thinking about like the vertical and the horizontal sort of nature of like, you have one person in each, and you have this AI platform across the board that's running your business with someone almost like a conductor, like teasing what it does. And then it got me thinking, how the fuck do you value these companies now, right? Like how does a VC value a company now? Like Claude or like...
You maybe understand it when you've got like, when it gets to that point, like you do have some people, you got some institutional knowledge, like everything's codified and like it's agentified. It's like, it's hard to imagine how you value, if it's just like a company like me with Geode right now, from a traditional like VC valuation perspective, pretty difficult, because it's like, what are you acquiring? You're acquiring the technology to like integrate into someone else's platform. Are you acquiring like me, the founder? Like, are you acquiring just a customer base? Like, I just think traditional valuations, it's hard to see how you get like $1 billion externally validated validation for like a solo founder software company. Yeah, well, but again, can't give it a go.
30 to 60 times, revenue and stuff, and for valuations and AI companies, and you're like, what the hell, man? Like, we're in this crazy world. Yeah, I mean, you guys have done, like with Paloma, right? You guys did a lot of like investing and talking to founders and raising capital and the likes. And how do you see that all evolving now with sort of AI landscape?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think like founders now need to definitely kind of be building with the tools and validating with the tools. Like, I think part of the problem we solve at Paloma in terms of our venture structure, and that's evolving over time with AI, but like, especially in the early days, was like we were the technical co-founder and we were the build the product for you and like really take care of that side of things so you can focus on the problem and go to market. And that's like, now you can, as a founder starting off, you should be just out there just like creating MVPs, Claude coding, lovabling, like just creating stuff and putting it in the hands of users. So you still do need like product expertise and rigor, but like you need a smaller team, and you need like at a little bit of a later stage. So I think that's the main change. It's just reducing a constraint, right? The cost of software, like the cost of getting something off the ground was previously so high, and now it's like getting the product isn't the problem. It's like getting traction, getting customers on board.
It's really interesting, like, because this is where New Zealand has like a competitive landscape now, right? Like, where it's democratized the need for having all the software engineers in Silicon Valley doing the job to scale these companies to billion-dollar companies. Like, anyone around the world now can build a billion-dollar company on their own, or like faster. And I feel like New Zealand, like, really needs to get behind this, because it's something that you can spin up a global company, big company, very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything in New Zealand that you're seeing that's exciting? Like, because I was chatting to someone last night, and they're like, it's 2 years over now. Like, the get to market now to have a product in AI is over. If you didn't get it, you've lost out. I'm like, man, dude, how long did SaaS go for? And there's still SaaS product coming out. There's so much opportunity, and like New Zealand doesn't have to be like SaaS. We were the weird reg techie, weird little idiosyncrasy thing here that we'd build to take to market globally. But with AI, we can do anything, right? Like, it's quite exciting, and I'm curious to see. Like, what's your take on like Kiwis here now and how they should be able to go faster? Is that something you're seeing?
I think we should be able to do pretty well. I think Kiwis are always like a quite generalist, kind of get stuff done type of person generally. Like, that's kind of what we pride ourselves on with the number 8 wire and all that kind of thing. So we should be able to like accelerate that with AI. Probably the danger is like I think maybe one danger is you can do so much with AI. You can go so broad that like, that's sometimes a danger. There's sometimes a danger in terms of what I find building Geode is you can be like, I could be all of these things and like I could be all these features, but it's like you want to solve like a specific problem for a customer and you want to be pretty tight. And New Zealanders have a tendency to go broad and to like solve a lot of people's problems and to be generalists. And that's like when you're building a product or taking something to market, that's always like you weaken yourself, you weaken what you're good at. That's always been a problem. Like, when Kiwi companies go into the States, they're often like, they're too broad, they're too generalist. And like when you're in the States, you want to be, it's a massive market. You want to be like the absolute best you're in that niche. So I think like you got the risk with AI that like Kiwis just get worse at that, right? They're like, I can do so much more.
It's funny though, because if you look at it in a optimistic way, right? Kiwis are generalists, so they can do a bit of everything. So they should be able to use AI to go faster and get a product out the door. But in saying that, we are like, I hate the number 8 warrior approach of like Kiwi business. I'm like, just fucking learn something. Like get in there and like be really good at something. That's how you become the best in the world at something.
I guess now it's just like there's from like a solo founder opportunity, like you can go target like something super niche and like distribution's kind of global and just go hard at one little problem for one customer and like be pretty impactful on it. And you're not going to need huge amounts of capital. You're not going to need to be in the Bay Area just getting the massive amounts of VC money. You could do a lot more with a lot less from here now. So it will be interesting to see how people go. I know that like a lot of the sort of the group of people who are like me, the CTOs who are going out and starting their own businesses, like a lot of them aren't raising like venture. A lot of them are doing it like a pretty lean way. Maybe raise like a small angel round and just going at it with like quite a lean sort of agent fueled team. So maybe that'll be more of a pattern in future.
The 4 companies that I invested in last year, AI companies, only did enough to give them a year to build rather than taking a big venture capital round, because they just wanted to prove it and like go out and go faster. And so you don't need to raise as much. Like angel investors now can get across a lot of AI companies, with good ideas. So it's interesting times ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like speaking of times ahead, like talk me through Geode over the next 12 months. Like where do you see it?
Unicorn, baby.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to get to. Well, I really want to solve like the core problem for the customers, which I'm starting to solve at the moment, but I don't have like true product market fit. I'm still working really closely with my customers and like trying to own the whole workflow of like creating AI optimized content and getting it onto their sites and updating it consistently. It's kind of like a bit of an amorphous broad problem in a way, because I'm like having to update content based on like the company positioning changing, and there's a lot of it's not like maybe not as simple a product as when I initially started on it, but I'm going pretty good. But I'd like to just be really like locked in on terms of like how that's working and seeing some like success stories with customers and just taking that to market and generating solid MRR off it by sort of 12 months from now, and kind of having it being as a profitable, sustaining business is the goal.
Yeah, and are you still on your own 12 months from now, do you think?
I'd say so, just because I think at that point if I want to hire people into it, it's going to be because there's going to be constraints in the business. There's going to be like things where I'm like, I know it needs to be done over there, but like I can't do it with AI, and I need a person in that seat. Or I'll just be really tired and I need someone else to help me.
Yeah. Want to take a holiday? And
I might want to take a holiday at some point.
Talk me through like the mental element of like doing everything on your own though, man. Because like I'm curious about like, do you feel the burnout a little bit more?
I think it's just the oscillations of like positivity and up and down, because you have a great call in the morning with a customer and get heaps of feedback, and then another one will like not be using the product, or something will completely break for them. So it's just up and down all the time, and so you're going to manage those emotions. I think if you have other people you're working with, you're kind of a little bit sort of your oscillations cancel each other out a little bit, and there's a bit more of a smooth state to it. And then I think but like the positives of it is probably just able to kind of like iterate super quickly, change my mind super quickly, not have to like seek alignment from something else. So I'm like able to just respond to things super well. But it's definitely like, it's a lot of work. It's like you're always thinking about it, but it's the same with any startup. It's like any founder's like always thinking about what they're doing. It's just like in your head constantly. I don't know if that changes if you're solo or not. I guess the other thing is just like there's a certain level of like direct exposure to ego on it, right? Like it's me, like I've got no one to blame, and if it's not going well, right, you got a co-founder, you'd be like, oh, it's that guy's fault. It didn't pull its weight, or
it was a hallucination though, right? Wasn't it? It wasn't me.
I'll spin up an agent just to take the fall.
Mate, that's the same. I don't think anyone that's successful in anything is not constantly having that internal monologue and battle with themselves. Like I'm constantly asking, like how do I be a better podcast guest host? How do I be a better recruiter? How do I do this? How do I'm thinking about this? And like I haven't got 5 agents supplying shit to me yet.
There's probably also like an element of the kind of social media aspect. Like if you go on X at the moment, it's like, I just did this one thing and I scaled to 100k MRR in like 1 month. And I'm like, you probably didn't, but like, what if you did? Like, should I be doing that? How's it so good for you? Like,
I used to not believe any of that bullshit. Now I'm like, well, like, who knows anymore, man?
Maybe I'm a dumb.
Yeah, who knows? Interesting, man. What does your week look like, though? Sort of talk me that through. Do you have a structured week, or can you just sort of go wherever you feel like you need to be pulled in the direction?
I have small children, so that is like adding some like external structure to my week in terms of like being there for them. But it's generally
and you live on an island, right?
Little Waiheke, so yeah, like in my little island bubble. I try to get off the island once a week and get into Auckland and put some pants on and see some people. But yeah, I think generally I'm just like in there sort of responding to, like, I talk to my customers constantly. I'm just trying to understand how they're using the product and what they're going to find useful, implementing that feedback, and then just throwing myself back out there into being persistently helping them in their face and working with them. So it's just that constant iteration. And then like a bit of the thing too, where I also need to be like marketing the product. So I like try to build, my general cadence is like, I'm trying to build a feature every week, which is like a marketable feature, which is like, so I want it to be something where people can look at it and go like, oh, that's awesome. Like I can put that on LinkedIn and be like, that's like, yeah, I would use that. I think
so it's just purely for marketing to bring
No, I think it's like,
customers?
it's useful features, but like, I'd like to look at them from the perspective of like, this should be useful and it should be something that customers requested and it should be something that I think is going to be cool to the product, but I should be doing it to like a level of polish and to like a level of like interestingness that, and like whether enough, if it's useful, it's going to have a story behind it as well, right? You're going to be like, this is useful because I did like a feature last week, I think, which was like evaluations of prompts. So like looking at someone ask a question, like people asking questions in ChatGPT, and I can run like a test on the answers to that question across multiple platforms and be like, is it consistently, does ChatGPT talk about a business in the right way? Does Claude talk about a business in the right way? Does Gemini talk about it in the right way? And like having that weekly check where it's like, yeah, they're all on message, and then you get an alert when it's like off message. And they're like, the story behind that is like, you're a marketer in a startup and you don't want to be like the CEO to be like, why is Gemini saying this? You want to know that before the CEO hits you up in Slack. So that's like, I try and like have a story behind each feature and like try and market it in that way as I'm building things, rather otherwise just getting like a little coding hole, right? Like you got to always be like talking about what you do as well.
Do you ever stand up with your agents in the morning?
No, not so much. I have like a morning kind of session where I'm like, all right, this is like what we're going to do, and like trying to break off things to like work on in different streams, that kind of thing, and try and stay on track that way. But it's pretty loosey goosey,
I can't wait until the Silicon Valley methodology for agile working with agents comes out. I can't wait for the, like someone writes a book on, this is the
scaled agile for agents or something like that. That's great.
And then everyone in government's like certifying scaled agile for agents.
Can't wait to ignore that completely.
The thing I've always loved about you, man, is like the 0 to 1 stuff of getting stuff done is just like such in your niche, right? Your niche. Like if people are out there, like we have a lot of people in the audience who are thinking about doing a startup, right? And so talk me through the thinking to doing and like the things that you really should be doing from day one when you're building a startup.
I think startups should probably come from something you're good at, or like some foundation of seeing an idea here or something. It's pretty hard to will something into existence. We'll just be like, I'm going to go like talk to these people and find a problem. Cause you can't do it, but like you have to get into that circle of people and you have to find out the problem, then you have to understand like the problem space. So like with Geode, it's like I understood B2B technology businesses. Like I've been working with them for years. Like I kind of know the market. I know how they go to market. So I had that. I'd like done where we built a lot of websites on Webflow, and like we would like Geode started out as like a programmatic Webflow, like a programmatic SEO tool for Webflow, like the first little version of it before it evolved into what I'm doing now. So like there's things there which I was like, those all came from what my past experience, and that's all helpful. I mean, the GEO part of it and no idea, and that's honestly been like a big challenge, is like doing all this while understanding a whole new evolving space, but no one really understands it, so it's like, it's fine, we're all in the dark. We're all figuring it out as we go. So I do think that like you want to like look at who you are as a person and like take from that. Like I think there's an actual theory of it called like effectuation, which is like the best businesses are started not from like a moonshot thing of like, I'm going to go do this thing really far over there. It's like an evolution of who you are and like what capabilities you have.
Yeah.
So I think like just look at that honestly and see like how you can turn that into a business, or like how you can turn that into a product. And then just you got to set yourself up like well to be able to actually do that, and like figure out the capital aspect of it, or figure out how you're going to be able to do something for a protracted period of time, because it's going to take a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm 5 months in, I guess, and like it's still going to take me a while longer. I thought I'd be done by 6 months, but turns out probably not. Like it's just always takes a bit longer than you think. So you got to set yourself up so you can like be there grinding consistently and just get there, hopefully get the hockey stick happen eventually. Yeah.
Are you taking a bottom-up approach in terms of like when you take it to market to like freemium and trial versions? And
Yeah, I think there's like, you just get different advice on like, don't charge anyone at the start, like because you just want to get adoption, or like you got to charge people to like signal like that they're going to use it. And I'm like, I don't know if either one is actually like right from any perspective, because like you can get people will actually give you money if they know you and trust you, and they might still not use the product, and that money might not be like considerable. So sure, it's like maybe a little bit of signal that they like at least continue the conversation, but it's not like you didn't like they gave me money, definitely a problem, it's all good. So I think it's sort of contextual. I am like charging my customers. I like went down that route I'm charging a monthly subscription model, and a lot of what they get in the early days is they get really good consultancy rates basically, because they're paying me a little SaaS subscription, and like all my headspace is going into trying to like understand their problems, and at the end of the day they pay me an amount which covers one of those like grocery bills you get when you go to the supermarket for a few things, and you end up costing like $100.
Yeah, man. But there's a lot of companies out there paying FOMO money at the moment, right? Because AI adoption now is going so fast that they want to get in and be a customer. Like I got a friend of mine who's got an AI agentic platform for an industry, and I won't say who it is because of what I'm about to say. And so Australian guy who sold his first 10 customers, pretty much just gave it to them and to try it out.
Yeah.
The next 10 customers, like because they became so busy, he was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to charge something because I don't want to have to keep giving it to everyone to try. And so he just threw X amount of figure on, and 100% strike rate. Like everyone was like yes. So then he just kept doubling it.
Yeah.
And doubling it, and now he's at that point where he's like churning, like if he's worried about churn and how much people have paid for it and the likes, and it's just like he hasn't even finished building the product yet. But the FOMO is hard real at the moment.
That's I think there is a lot of budget for like experimentation with AI and people just wanting to like be in the game. So I think that's something that I've talked to a couple of other founders about. This it's like is that real? Is the demand actually real? I think the way that a lot of us looking at it is just, it may not be real, like it's going to wash back a little bit, but like you got to use that like kind of momentum on the wave to build as good of a product as you can. So it's like it's part of people's workflows and indispensable to what they're doing. So even if like things wash back and there's maybe less budget, at least like got that core set of customers that you're doing the job pretty well for them. But it's definitely a bubble, right? Like it's definitely going to be a correction at some point. Like just gotta.
Everything's a bubble,
running.
right?
Exactly.
Well, Elon just came out recently and said AI is going to fall over, you know, and then the next day, you see like every fucking stock in every AI company is going berserk, and so who knows, man? I think forever, like AI's forever changed the game. Like let's be honest, and it's not coming back. But which direction and how hard it goes in each direction.
Yeah, we got different layers to it, right? Like there's the labs, the model companies, like they might have a big correction. Some of those guys might kind of fall off, but like we've got the models now, and they're doing like it's controversial that they're doing crazy amounts of work for us. Like that's going to be there, right? It might end up being a little bit more expensive for like inference, or we might have to start running local models or whatever. But the tools there now, right? And like you can do crazy things with the tools. So yeah, I think at like sort of my level of like building something that works for customers, it's like it's not going away as part of like how we build and how the products operate.
Yeah, man, and it's interesting the tools versus the LLMs, right? That they're bolted to, right? Because the tools are now figuring out so much about us. Like that they're going to hold more of the data, sort of going forward in the future, and then the LLMs will be learning off the tools again, and so it's going to be this real weird cyclical world. I'm really curious about it. Like, it's just one of those things you can guess which way it's going to go, but I think we're in this crazy new frontier, of a gold rush again, which is exciting for everyone except VC companies, who don't know how to, throw heaps of money at people to put pressure on them to hire heaps of people and continue to grow, right? And so,
and you got that. Like, it does feel like there's a lot of FOMO activity, and some people are saying like, now's the only time you got to get the bag. You've got to like build some capital, build a product. Otherwise, you're going to be part of the permanent underclass, which I don't think is accurate. But like, there's that sort of like sense of urgency that like for people in technology, it's like you've got to be jumping on this and like building something epic with it, because like, it's just fun as well. It's
shit, man. I mean, that's the big thing about it. Hey, so I want to ask you some rapid fire questions here, my friend. So with these questions, I'm going to ask you. You're just going to give me straight away what your reckons are. And so before I do that, though, like, I'm curious. Like, Jono and we were talking before, like about how AI is still got a long way to come, right? Like, what was the test you talked about, Jono? The car park test. The car wash test. So, you can ask ChatGPT, I need to wash my car. Should I? It's half an hour. Should I walk or drive there? It's like, it's an easy walk for 30 minutes. Obviously for us, you're washing your car, you're driving there. And then the other one was like with the glass. Like if you hold a glass upside down. I've got this interesting glass here, ChatGPT. The bottom of it is open, but the top's covered up. How would I use it? And it's like, well, be careful. You might spill it over yourself. And so like, it's evolved so much. If you look back 2022, was it 2023? Where sort of
it was like, just like could predict a story or that kind of thing.
That useful. Hallucinations. And then 2025, like with agents now, is just insane. Like, do you think, like, how close do you think we are to just being able to artificial consciousness, right? Like,
I'm no like philosophical expert on that, but I think also people. We've got the models, and they do kind of spooky things, right? Like they like seem really good at like talking like a person, but they are just predicting.
What's that test called again? What's that test, like how close it is to a human? There's something test.
Oh, like the Turing test.
Yeah, the Turing test. Like, we've surpassed the Turing test already.
But then they are still just like the token prediction, right? They're just predicting text from like the last thing that was said, and like Then they do a lot of their smart stuff by using that to like call tools, which do like external actions, which is like how we got like the awesome coding agents who are able to do this like do the job of software engineers. But like people can still trip them up by having like logic tests and like all this kind of stuff. So I do wonder if there's like a little bit of a cap of like, do we get to? We're probably not going to get to like AGI with like this architecture. Like it is going to be like just spookily like a human, but not quite like a human. I think it's like kind of interesting that like. It kind of shows how basic humans are in a way. We're all just like saying things which are just like iterations of stuff we've heard before, and it's just like,
dude, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. They were talking about LLMs just regurgitating information to you, and I was like, and you're probably telling that story because someone told you that story.
Turns out all humans are is just like we like tell a story we heard elsewhere, we tweak it a little bit, like
and then
we talk about the weather, like how was your flight, like all that. It's pretty predictable.
I know. My favorite thing at the moment is I read this thing, and I'm like, dude, you watched a TikTok. All right, so let's get into these rapid fire questions. In one sentence, what's driving you right now?
Trying to pay the mortgage. Just trying to build a product to have something which is sustainable. Like, just don't want to get a real job at any point in the future. But yeah, and also the energy and excitement of like building stuff with AI. Like, it's just a wild thing to be part of right now.
Yeah, awesome. I think I know the answer to this one, but what's the favorite tool that you actually open daily?
Yeah, I'm just in Claude the whole time. I'm not a super cutting edge guy. Claude code all the way.
Yeah. Knowing what you know about the New Zealand ecosystem, what do you think New Zealand lacks in the ecosystem?
I don't know. I think we probably just over-index on New Zealand as an ecosystem. It's like people should just go build shit. It's like we can build stuff here. You can build stuff in other countries. There's nothing structural, I don't think. We've got the internet, we've got
AI. Yeah. What do you think, with remote, hybrid, or sort of office for early stage for founders now?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to the company. I don't know, but when at Paloma we made the decision to be remote with hybrid for some office time for those who wanted it. There's like good parts to that. We were able to hire talent everywhere. There's downsides is that we paid a lot for offices, which weren't always full. Like, I don't think there's one thing that like you need to go down. These days companies getting smaller, so like does the office like make a sense for like a couple of person company, especially if they're not in the same place? Yeah, I don't know. I defer to probably defer to remote first when I'm starting something, but it's just because of like my lifestyle choice, and I think you can do it pretty well. But for companies that can do it all in one office, get on them.
Nice. I'm just trying to get hot takes here, mate. What's your first senior hire, do you think, when you're stepping from like a founder to like leadership-y?
I think it'd just be engineering. I enjoy the engineering, but just having someone else to like be on call and like take hold of part of it would be good, so I can focus on customers. Yeah.
And do you think, is it easy for you to see yourself in a CEO role now, like after being a CTO for so long?
I mean, what does that look like for a like in a single person company? It's just doing anything anyway, and like
But do you, like, in terms of the strengths and the things, because I think this is the really interesting thing, right? Is like a lot of CTOs in the past have needed that co-founder to do the jazz hands at the front, right? And so now with AI democratizing that, you're seeing a lot of these CTOs now saying, no, fuck it, I'm going to be the CEO now. And so I think like the skill sets that you need are slightly different, obviously in that role. I guess my question is to you, like, do you think naturally people can learn these skill sets?
Yeah, I think anyone, like, if you've got an idea of, if you feel strongly about what your product is and like the problems it's solving for people, you should probably have an opinion on like how to take that to market and how to commercialize it. Otherwise, you don't really have a business. You've just got like a piece of technology.
Yeah, cool. I say that because I had this massive argument with someone the other day, and they were saying how CEOs are a breed of people and they're born into it. And I was like, fuck off. Like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, like Jeff Bezos, like, these are the richest like companies in the world, and they're nerds, who taught themselves how to be CEOs.
I think the main thing is just being commercial, right? Like understanding like the commercial aspect.
So sorry, that was a grudge that I brought into the podcast. What's one weekly KPI or metric that you check?
I mentioned that sort of single marketable feature per week. Like that's pretty important for me. And I try to keep up in terms of like out there being. I'm pretty annoying on LinkedIn, and like trying to be as like on there as possible, just so I'm like part of the conversation. There's a lot of serendipity that comes from that. So like posting and building marketable features. Yeah,
for those that aren't connected with Toby on LinkedIn, I highly encourage you to. There's some great banter with some good lessons on there. It's like a real good
mixture of shit posting and trying to be informative, but the shit posts are always way more popular.
Dude, as a fellow shit poster, that's funny, isn't it? Like you can work for weeks on a post, like really good structured, like informative post, and it gets like 100 likes, and then you post some stupid thing that you thought of, like and it's like fucking viral. What's the most important thing you think for 0 to 1?
I think just like talking to customers is always the one. Like, I think that's the only generalizable bit of startup advice. Everything else is it depends, but like that's literally just like punishingly talking to customers until it's like embarrassing, and like you just throw yourself back at it again. Just do that.
Yeah, and it's funny how we all know it, but we just don't do it.
It's real easy to avoid.
What's one common founder myth that you would bust?
I think it's been busted already, but like the path that like venture capital is the only way to do it. Like I think a lot more people are realizing that like that the traditional startup thing of like you gotta have like this huge, like you gotta be changing the world, you gotta do all this stuff, and like you gotta raise all this capital and try and like go to this trajectory of being a $1 billion exit. It's like that's awesome. Like companies that have the right product, have the right market, do that. That's fantastic. But you can also build like sustainable, scalable businesses and raise capital in different ways and different ways to structure that. So I like it that things are diversifying a little bit away from pure VC now.
Awesome, man. And then last question, mate. What's one thing that you had to learn the hard way?
Yeah, I think at Paloma, like we grew a lot and kind of like went from like the three of us to 120 people, and like the hardest part of that was like staying true to our culture of like being scrappy and super fast. Like as we grew, like people came into the business who had amazing skills, but they came from larger businesses, and like we were like, oh, here's some adults in the room. We got to like do what the adults are doing. And like you do get some good stuff that way, but you've also got to like be true to the core of like we're good at shipping stuff really fast. We've got to like we've launched a lot of products. We know how to do that. Like we've got to keep doing the core of what we're doing. So I think that was a hard part of scaling, and like we had to like we grew a lot and like we shrunk a lot at times as well because we had to rebalance our culture and things weren't going in the right direction. So that was super hard. Like the people aspects of scaling was like has been some very very hard lessons over the last while, but no more because I've just got AI. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know any company that's written the book on that perfectly. Yeah, that's the hardest problem there is, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Hey, well, so if folks want to check out and get a demo of your product, where do they go?
Yeah, just Geode with 2 Ds.
Yeah, .com.
Not Geode or Geodaddy or something calling it. But yeah, Geode.com.
Yeah, awesome.
And yeah, find me on LinkedIn and you'll find it off there as well.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks so much for coming in, brother. I'm going to timestamp this. And so, Jono, 12 months from now, we're going to put it in my calendar that Toby is going to be a billionaire solo founder. And if he's not...
I won't tell you, but there'll be signs.
Yeah, we won't get him on the podcast for the 5th time. Okay? Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Mate.
So thanks for joining us on the podcast. That's Toby's left the room now. Jono and I are sitting around talking about AI and just thinking about how it is not such a crazy joke that Toby could be in 12 months unicorn of New Zealand with Geode. Like AI is exploding that fast. It is like so many people are trying to get their heads around it. There's this fascinating documentary that Jono just showed me a trailer for. It's called the AI Doc. And it just shows the tale of two stories, which is is AI going to be the end of us, or is AI going to be the start of this next chapter in the world? And so I think what's evident is that it is making companies go really, really fast. It is building amazing products. It is helping so many people get access to different products and things and freeing up time, like what I talked about before with the hospitals now being able to see 40% more people. And so I'm not sure if you're in the doomsday camp. I'm not sure if you're in the cheerleading camp. What I am sure about is that was a really fascinating conversation. And so thank you so much for joining us. See you on the next episode. We've got some really interesting guests lined up in the podcast this season. And so, yeah, thanks for sticking around. If you're on YouTube right now, which you are, I want you to go off and check out this episode here. I can't remember where it is. This episode here or this episode here. And subscribe and share it with all your friends. So thanks very much.